Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday. We're here at the Moira Press with John, who's in town. Everyone knows he's our tarot reader at the school, so this is kind of cool because we're also here with Brian Hackenberger, who's a Magic the Gathering expert, and he's going to be showing us the Magic the Gathering tarot deck today. So, what's up, Brian?
Hi, Andrea. Hi, John. So yeah, we've got the new Oracle deck that Wizards put out lately. It's not exactly tarot. It's a little more general than a tarot reading. It's more designed to spark thought and conversation and kind of tell you what's going on, right? Um, but they've got all the different major players from the Theros block are included in the deck. So it's a lot very based on the Greek gods. For instance, let's just pull. You got so you can see a little bit of the book there. That is Phonax, and it talks about resourcefulness being one of the aspects of the card there. And then the meaning is like the bigger the problems you take on, the bigger the life you will lead. Um, and then there's a little more to it than that. But then in the MTG story, it says Phonax is the god of trickery and was the first mortal to escape the underworld, a feat that made him a god. So um, I
Can I say
seem to
something?
remember that from my Greek mythology. I would guess you know who that would be in there, Andrea.
Yeah, I don't actually, well, I don't know actually. Who would it be?
Okay.
The god of
I don't
trickery. Was that be Hermes? Mercury? I don't know. Wait, can
I
I
don't
say
remember.
something about Magic the Gathering and oracularism? Okay.
Sure.
So, this is an interesting comparison to me because, tarot cards are generally pulled on your future or on a question. And, John and I talk a lot about that. Like, is that even ethical? And, but it's interesting how Magic the Gathering is a picture-based card deck. And so, visions can come through when you're playing the game. Like, here's an example. So I had this cat named Luna. She was a black cat. And she bit me really hard one day. Like, I don't know what happened or whatever. Well, so I was playing Magic the next day, and there's the black cat card. It's called, what's that card, Brian? It's the black cat. There's maybe several of them.
I'm not sure right off the top of my head.
Okay,
I can
well,
go look it up
anyway,
for you.
so the black cat cards gets pulled while I'm playing, and I'm like pissed at my cat for biting me, and then I get all these fleas, and I basically like put mites all over the cat and kill the cat with mites, and I was like, this is it feels kind of oracular because like the cat comes up while I'm playing after the cat bit me, and then I kill the cat because I'm like mad at it or whatever. But it wasn't like it did seem kind of magical, and I think sometimes in a game of Magic the Gathering, magical things do happen. I mean, what do you think of that in general?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, the playing Magic gets you thinking at a different level. It gets you kind of involved in a storyline and um, going against someone else as a wizard, right? That's the whole point of the game. So I can definitely see why it would kind of give you a little bit of a premonition there. And I found your black cat card. It looks like it's a 1/1 zombie cat. And
Yes.
when it dies, target opponent discards a card.
Yes. Yeah, totally. What's it called? What's that card?
Zombie cat,
It's
I
just
think.
called Black Cat.
Oh,
Black
Black
cat.
Cat. Yeah, Black Cat. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I think, well, I like what you're saying there because when the Greeks would call this the Fantasia realm, which is the realm of pictures. And, we've turned that into the fantasy realm. That word has been diminutized into like, this is just a fantasy or whatever. But in Greeks, they're like, this, you are in the Fantasia realm right now, which is where pictures occur. And so you can send out a picture in manifestation theory, or you can get a picture. So, when I got the Black Cat card, like all of a sudden I had a picture I could send out or not, and I chose to kind of like send out Black Cat and then like kill it with fleas. But um yeah, so I think there is something very powerful about the picture realm, and Magic the Gathering hits that. It's not like playing Monopoly or, Scrabble where there are
No.
no pictures.
Well, and they pay really good money to have very good artists design the cards. So
Yeah.
that's one of the fun points about it is you're not just reading the text and dropping a six of spades, right? You're getting delicious artwork along with some crazy things that you can make the game do. So
Yeah. But you've played Magic, right?
Oh yeah. hmm
So I mean, what's your experience with Magic? What kind of deck do you
So
play?
I played a lot when it first came out, and then I didn't
mhm.
play again for a while, and I recently just picked it back up.
Hmm.
Because
I'm pretty sure that's most folks' story from back in the day. Yeah.
And I'm a huge Fallout fan, so I just got the Fallout Commander decks.
Oh yeah.
I was really hoping to get one of the Monty Python Commander decks, and I can't find it at the moment, but hopefully they'll
Yeah.
make it again. But yeah, I mean, I've always loved cards of all kinds. I mean, I've got about 350 tarot decks at home and a
Oh,
bunch
very
of
nice.
oracle decks. I don't really use the Oracle decks professionally too much, only because
Hmm.
they're all a little bit different, and there's nothing wrong
Right.
with that. But like, this is good because it gives people who are interested in magic an opportunity to make divination more accessible. You know,
Hmm.
if if people feel like that, that's one of the reasons why so many different types of tarot decks exist, because you
Right.
have to figure out which imagery. You know, you talk about the realm of the image.
Hmm.
Like,
Hmm.
if the imagery speaks to you, then that's a great thing, and that's what's important. So people ask me, well, which deck do you use? And my deck of choice is typically the standard Rider Waite Smith tarot, which is the one that a lot of people use, or start with at least. And the thing is, it's for me, it's mainly traditional because I was taught with it, and so typically I'll use that. But honestly, it's about how the images speak to you. That's what counts.
Right.
I totally thought you
Yeah.
were talking about Magic when you're like, what kind of deck do you use? I was like, no, what kind of deck do you play?
Oh, sorry.
I'd like to build a zombie horror deck because I'm such a Scorpio.
Mm. I like to do some of my favorites are the white black, so I'll tend to go that way. Sometimes recently I think it's been green black is what I've
Yeah.
done. But I really am terrible at deciding what should go in a deck. I either seem to have too much land, not enough land, or I don't get the right cards when I need them to come out, or I get something powerful I can't use. So
Yeah.
yeah.
It's hard to figure out the mana curve sometimes, and generally your 60 card decks you want somewhere in the neighborhood of like 22-ish land. Those commander decks you're looking at usually 35-ish, 40 sometimes if you got like high cost stuff in there. But commander's gotten so that a lot of folks are using a lot of mana rocks and less land. They're dropping artifacts to speed things up instead of a whole bunch of land.
Hmm.
Makes sense.
I think it's interesting how in Commander you can't have any repeats of cards, and I think what that is trying to keep your opponent entertained in the Fantasia realm. Like if you get repeated imagery coming out, your opponent starts to snooze.
Yeah, maybe.
It gives you a more variety as you're playing it too. So yeah, it's you always hope that you've got something that is consistent, but that's more the theme than consistently seeing the same card when you're playing Commander, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. When I play with noobs and they have like four the same card in the same deck in the deck, I'm just like, oh God, it feels like this so 10 years ago. Can you imagine if you had a tarot deck with four of the same card, four Ten of Swords? Oh my God.
Well, what's interesting is some tarot readers now will use multiple decks when
Yeah.
they read. It's not something I've done before, and I may actually have to give it a try sometime just to see what it is. I've occasionally done different types of divination together. So actually did a reading for someone, a tarot reading, while someone else did a rune reading on the same person, and it was amazing how they connected up. We were getting very similar messages, which I thought was pretty cool. But yeah, I've been told that there are tarot readers who use two decks at a time.
Interesting.
Well, I think in my tarot deck, I would take out all the Ten of Swords and add in Ten of Cups. Like my
Yeah,
future's bright, you
yeah.
know?
Well,
Eh,
you're a positive manifester, and
That's true.
I get that. And Andy and I have had a lot of talks about this because one of the things that will sometimes happen is people will water down the meanings of the tarot cards so that they're kind of more fluffy bunny is the term I would use.
Yeah.
And I'm just not like that. And part of my, I mean, claim to fame for me is that I tell people what I see, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. And I often get asked that question, like, if you see this thing, would you tell people? I'm like, well, yeah, that's what I'm here for. Like, I'm here to tell people. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to have a bad future. This is the picture as I see it today, and people have to understand that my job is to empower them with information, not make them feel like they're a victim.
So, Brian, about magic, a question for you is like, do you think that the picture realm of magic is so brutal because it's an attack game, so it's constant attacks basically? Do you think that brutalizes people mentally?
I don't know. that would be like the whole violent video games conversation, right? I don't I don't think that playing a game with brutality in it is any different than just living life. Because life has, you know, violence and brutality, but it's also got love and healing and lots of good things in it. So I think it just more represents all around life. But since you're doing battle with other people, of course, there's going to be that violent aspect.
Mhm. That's why one of my favorite cards is the white card Swords to Plowshares. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah,
What's
that's a
that?
very good one right now, especially for Commander. It's one of the things that can get rid of some tough ones. So
Yeah, it basically helps you get rid of some nasty cards on the other side.
Oh, so yeah.
Good.
Well, you know, a lot of what I do with magic cards with my students is when they get really afraid of people seeing their charts and stuff, I send them a bunch of magic cards in the mail that are like circle of protection. And like I basically teach them how to protect themselves from attack because it's like you're
mhm,
afraid someone's going to see your chart. I'm like, toughen up, cupcake. Like you got to be a protecting from attack. Like, you know,
right,
because that's one of the things I learned in magic. If someone attacks you, attack them right back. Like you'd be like, no.
absolutely.
Right. Well, and what's interesting too, and I'm sure you could use Magic the Gathering cards this way, is you
Mhm,
could definitely use it kind of like what Andy was saying, which is a positive manifestation. So if you're
mhm,
feeling threatened, or you feel like you need to go on the attack for something, you could put those cards out, and so you can see
mhm.
them every day. Like I'll often tell people, if there are certain tarot cards you want to manifest positive things in your life, then put out the tarot cards you want to see, and make sure you see those cards every single day. Like
Mm.
put them out, almost like a positive intention or a positive
Oh,
affirmation,
yeah.
like
That's
which is a really awesome thing. Like you get a card like the Sun, and in the tarot,
mhm.
the Sun is one of the best cards out there. And it has very few negative meanings, almost none in all my years of study. Like there are almost none. So like if you want to bring positivity into your life, like the Sun is good for health. It's great for seeing the whole picture. The only real challenge with the Sun is that if people don't want to see the truth, the Sun will get rid of all the nonsense and show you the truth. And if you don't want to see it, well, you know, but but
Eliminates everything,
it eliminates
both
it.
your
It
dark and your light. Yes.
yeah, and so, but I suspect you could use Magic the Gathering cards in the same way, if you wanted to do that.
It's funny you say that. I've got when they did the Walking Dead crossover, I've got Rick, steadfast leader, sitting on my desk at all times, to, you know, help me remember that I need to push forward and lead.
Oh yeah, because you're an entrepreneur.
Well, there's that, and you know, just having a whole family full of kids. So I've
Oh,
got multiple aspects that I need to lead in. Yeah, both the business, the family.
Well, one of the best cards in the minor arcana of the tarot for that is actually the Three of Wands, and it's a person who's looking out over the ocean, and there are boats in the ocean, but the person is standing there holding onto one of the wands, and this is the explorer, this is the visionary, this is the leader. It's very much an Aries. It very much has an Aries vibe to it. So that may be one. If you ever want to look up some of the images, if you type in Three of Wands, Rider Waite Smith, you'll see it.
you could just
Um,
surround yourself with three of wands.
yeah, I mean, why
There
not?
we go.
That's cool. I mean, that you're saying that you're using the magic cards in a way I guess what is divination, right? Versus playing. Like with magic, we play with visions, right? But in divination, you use visions to form your future. I mean, what do
Yeah,
you think, Brian?
yeah. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, I mean, it would be with the Oracle deck, it's more having a conversation and looking at things that are kind of already going on, and then how you use that to move forward, right? It's not necessarily a future reading like some tarot is supposed to be able to give you. It's more of a self-reflection, and then how can you use that to get past or to include in your current day.
Yeah. And depending on the type of tarot reading that you get, the type of layout that you use, it will show the past and the present also. So it can kind of show
Mhm.
you what's happening in a given situation. But
Yeah.
I think I mean, it's very similar. The images are going to speak to you. They're going to make you think certain
Mhm.
things. The only real difference is that when you have Magic the Gathering cards, every person who's a player is going to interpret those the way they're going to interpret them. Whereas if you get
Absolutely.
a tarot reading from somebody else, you're trusting the other person to interpret the message for you. And one of the things that I try to do with anybody who is learning tarot is if they contact me and say, "Hey, John, I have this reading. What do you think of it?" The first thing I'm going to ask is, what do you think of it? Because when you cut it all away, the tarot means what you think it means. What
Right.
you're thinking in that moment when you pulled those cards. I'm always there to give a second opinion, but I'm very careful not to say this is right or this is wrong, because with the
Mhm.
tarot, there really isn't any.
So, Brian, do you think a lot of people who are into magic are also into things like tarot?
I would venture to guess it's probably pretty high. Yes. You're talking about a fantasy card game that tends to pull people towards it that are thinkers, right? And people that like to think critically about things don't just look at the black and white, right? They like to look at everything that could be. So yeah, I think they've at least explored things like that if they're not into it, right?
Hmm, interesting.
That would make sense.
Yeah, like they're not the Monopoly players. They're not the more conventional normie type people. They're more of the
Mhm.
fantasy realm. Okay.
Well, I need you to be careful. You keep talking about Monopoly, right? Some of us are Monopoly players. Some of us play Monopoly in tournaments.
Oh well, you're
Oh boy.
double Capricorn. That's so traditional normie.
Yeah, well, crush your opponents. And
Yes.
so while we're here, I don't want to go too far off on a tangent, but I will say that if you play Monopoly using the rules that they give you, a game of 4 people takes an hour tops.
Mm.
That's if you use the rules they give you, it's only
Yeah.
supposed to take an hour. It's
Oh
not supposed
wow.
to take
Yeah.
4 days.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Who follows the rules exactly though? Like free parking, you're supposed to get the kitty for that, right?
so I'll tell you how that came about briefly. So I grew up with three brothers and sisters. Okay, and my
Yeah.
younger brother and sister and I always used to play Monopoly. And my brother used to try to change the rules in the middle of the game and like double
Yeah.
Capricorn here, like you're not. No. The rules are the rules. So we had to start using the tournament rules that they give you with the set. And
Yeah.
after that, our games got much quicker because we started
Hmm.
actually playing by the rules that they had in place. So it's really, really interesting to see, the differences. But what I would say also is that, there isn't like with Magic the Gathering, you're dealing with a lot of strategy. You're dealing with
Yeah.
people who are, yes, you have to deal with what's in your hand, but strategically you have to figure out how to put it out. Whereas Monopoly, you're dealing with a lot more of a luck factor.
Mm,
You know,
Yeah.
I've had my clock cleaned by 15-year-olds in tournaments. Just,
mm.
you know,
Much more of the dice roll. Yes.
yeah, it's much more of a dice roll than Magic is.
Hmm.
But I could
And
definitely see people interested in Magic, the Gathering, and
mhm.
interested in cartomancy or any kind of divination.
It's funny you bring up them, making their own rules. That's one of the big things about casual magic is rule zero, right? And being able to say, no, that's not allowed at my kitchen table. We don't play that card here.
Mhm. Yeah, what you're talking about is house rules, you
Yeah,
know,
right.
and the house rule that you mentioned about money, receiving money for free parking. What it
Hmm.
does is it keeps more money in the game, which makes the game
Right.
last longer.
Mm,
Right.
Quite simply.
mm. So yeah, I mean, so Brian, from a marketing perspective, I feel like Magic did something cool here because the learning the game of Magic is can seem impossible for some minds, And this deck, do you feel like they're trying to appeal to the person who doesn't like the rules?
With the Oracle deck,
Yeah.
um, I think they're trying to appeal to the folks that really enjoy both the art and the more kind of fantastical realm that Magic presents. Um, I don't know that it's really anything, bending the rules. It's more just kind of feeding into some of the more spiritual or, you know, uh, I guess reaching out aspects that Magic presents, where you're you're not just you anymore, right? You're this planeswalker that looks across the table at what this other planeswalker is doing and figuring out, well, I know that I can do this and I can do this based on these cards that I have, but I'm not quite sure what they can do over there. So maybe I go to my Oracle deck and say, what should I cast? Right?
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, what you're bringing up there is like the Oracle deck is a random element. It's almost like a dice roll, a dice roll into the future,
Right.
dice roll into like what should I do, what is going to happen.
Yeah. And I
Do you
think,
guys have any questions you'd like to ask it?
go ahead, Andy.
We
Uh,
can do like a one card poll and just see what we get for it.
okay. How can John get famous?
Give it a shuffle here. Have the warrior.
Ooh.
So let me find, I think it's Iroas is how you pronounce that in the book here. It might take me a minute. There's quite a few of them in here.
No problem.
But what's the warrior mean to you while I'm looking?
What does it mean to us?
Yeah. When you look at that
I would say it means that John's got to
giant
fight his
warrior.
way to the top in some way.
Yeah.
Like it's not just going to be bunnies and roses. Like you got to fight.
I like bunnies and roses.
Well, you might not be famous then.
I don't like them that much.
I've got it up here in the MTG story. It says Iroas is the god of victory and warriors. He represents our indomitable will and determination to overcome any obstacle. So that's what it means in the Theros block. And then for the card itself, it says there are times where we must bring forth the warrior, whether it is to discipline ourselves to accomplish a task or to stand up for what we feel is right. Let go of any excuses and find the warrior within.
All right.
I really identify with that because getting well known does take a lot of discipline. People think it just happens to you, but it's about going out there daily to show the world what you do, what you can do. Like if Brian was going to get famous for playing Magic, it's like we would need to see him playing a lot of Magic
Yeah.
in a disciplined fashion, like so yeah, I like that the discipline of it is one of the things that I like.
And for me, that definitely speaks to me because I have a full-time job also, in addition to being an astrologer and a tarot card reader. And so sometimes it is a fight for me to get on, promote myself. The other piece of the puzzle for me is that part of me being a double Capricorn is I'm always looking for security. And so when I have a chance to take a paying client, I'll take a paying client instead of like doing a video or promoting myself. So that warrior card definitely speaks to that. Okay, you've really got to discipline yourself to do more of the marketing.
Right.
And I know that I do. So
It's both,
that makes
right?
a
You
lot
got
of
to read the
sense.
client, and then for every client you read, you do some B-roll of yourself. Like it's like we know Brian, you and I know Brian over there. He plays Magic, and he's probably I think I'm gonna get him on a video and play a game with him someday. But
Good luck to you, but okay, good idea.
I know because it was seeing his tour, right? He's gonna annihilate me. But the thing is like if he did B-roll of himself playing Magic every time he played Magic, like we would see magic coming out of his ears. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And so like we need B-roll of you doing a tarot reading. It's like I do a tarot reading and then there's a camera. I mean, you can't really do them because they're confidential, but like rock stars know this all the time. They're always making B-roll. Like the Beatles had someone doing that job for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's no reason why I can't, and the reason why I hesitate is because like for tarot readers, it's like they'll do a one card pull and they'll, hey, here's your daily, one card pull, and they'll get on TikTok and they'll do their thing. And I don't want to be like all of them, so I don't want to necessarily get into that habit. So, and obviously tarot readings themselves are confidential, but I could certainly adapt it some way so I can get out there more, but I'm gonna have to really step up and think about that. No, go ahead.
Oh, Brian, so are all the cards warrior card? Does this Oracle deck make us a fighter because everything's a fight card?
Definitely not. For
I was gonna say
instance,
probably not.
there's Heliod, who is generosity.
Okay.
Brian, how many cards are there in the deck, just out of curiosity?
That is a good question. I'm not sure it says.
Oracle decks all have kind of different numbers of cards. The standard
Mhm.
tarot has 78, but Oracle decks don't hold to that. So, and
I
while
don't think the book
go ahead.
says, and I haven't counted them, so I can count it real quick if you'd really like to know.
Yeah, I'd like to know, but I will also say that the warrior card that you pulled for me is extremely similar to the Major Arcana's Chariot card, which is a charioteer trying to keep two sphinxes going in the one direction. And that's very much a hard-fought victory card. Basically, I call that card the drill sergeant of the tarot, which basically is, hey, do what you got to do to get it done, but once you get it done, it'll be a hard-fought victory for you. And that's kind of how I took the warrior.
So we can
Gotcha.
do the same question and pull another card. Like, can we do the same question and pull another card?
Why not?
Yeah, so it's like you could basically philosophically analyze a question from every card that exists.
Yeah, you could.
Huh. Being an oracle is like being a philosopher.
Kind of.
Yeah, it's 52. It's the same as a
As a regular.
normal deck of cards.
That's really interesting. Okay, cool.
All right, let's try another card on the same question. Let's
Okay.
let's do how can Bryan get famous?
All right.
Can you pull a card for yourself?
Yeah, I mean, we
Yes, yeah. One of the main things that it says is that it's a good idea to kind of pull one every morning and see how your day's gonna present itself to you based on that.
Yeah, tarot readers
So-
do that often, especially when they're learning, when they're new at it. They'll pull it for a day.
We got partnership.
Ah.
Okay.
Okay.
So that says it's an axe and Simede. Let's see what they've got here. Partnership for me immediately obviously makes me think of my wife. And then we co-run the business. She's got her side of it where she does like t-shirt design, and she'll put stuff up on Etsy, and she's very crafty, things like that. And then I have my blog and helping folks with magic. So
Wait, I want a t-shirt for your business.
Yeah. How do we get
Well-
shirts?
Yeah, how do we get these?
I'll have to get her out of her hole. She's currently in master's classes, so she put it on hold for a minute. But yeah, if you've got anything in mind that you'd like designed, we can absolutely get it over to her. It might take her a little while to get it done, just with her school load, but she loves doing it, so we can definitely do that for you.
So I have a very special request. I don't know if
Okay.
it's done, but why don't you tell Brian what you call me?
The Angel of Sanctions. Do you know that
Okay.
card?
I don't. What's behind that?
So I, as part of my day job, I actually just got a full-time job doing it. I'm gonna be teaching people how to teach for my organization.
Okay.
And one of the things that I do is I have to sit there and grade them, score them on how well they present or teach. So certain people consider me the angel of sanctions because I do a lot of teaching critiques.
Yeah, I'm like, what are
Okay.
you, a villain? Because he's always critiquing people. And no one likes to critique. Like, I'm reading that book, How to Win People and Influence or whatever, and they're like,
Yeah.
number one, don't critique.
Feedback is a gift, so
Yeah, I
by
agree.
all means, tell me what I can improve on.
Yeah.
Oh,
So I've got partnership here. Let's see, we've got an axe and Simede there in the book,
All right.
and then
are
they're in
are
TG
those
Special.
characters from Magic, from an iteration of Magic? Okay.
And it says they were once king and queen of Akros. Now they live among the gods. The meaning of the card is a good partner helps you grow. So seek partnerships that light you up, that stoke the fires of curiosity, that are fun, and that keep you grounded and true to yourself.
That's my
And
right there.
Oh,
That's
that's
you guys are so
absolutely
literal
what I'm
with
saying with my wife.
interesting. Well, okay, well, I'll tell you, Brian, in astrology, there's something called a composite chart, which is we calculate how two charts meld and the alchemy that happens when you meld with somebody. And we would say that actually a whole world of magic opens up when you work with another person because that composite chart can open up things that your chart can't do, essentially. So, you know,
Okay.
it sounds like you have a good composite chart with your wife. I'll, you know, just opening the two of you up to a partnership standpoint about getting famous is like the way we've worked at the Moira Press for years is working on good composite charts. Like John and I have a good composite chart, and that doesn't make my partner jealous because in show business we like the crowd loves love, like they want to see good alchemy, right? And but you know, I think, you know, partnerships can help you get fit. Like Brian, like you working with the Moira Press is a partnership, right? Like, well, we're not Magic the Gathering players. We're kind of magic adjacent because astrology is magical, right? And you're
Right.
not an astrologer, but I don't know why, but we have a good partnership going because we must have a good composite chart or whatever, you know?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Right.
so I think just reaching out to the world of partnerships that could be created that could build a web for your business is another one.
Yep.
Yeah, and I mean,
And,
I definitely have clients who are very into Magic the Gathering. You know,
yeah.
so I can certainly talk up that Oracle deck quite a bit.
Yeah.
The other interesting thing is I probably, as crazy as this sounds, like I said, I've got so many Tarot and Oracle decks. I may just have to get a copy of that just to have on hand.
Yeah.
Well, and I
See
think
how it
we would have to,
works.
if we were going to help make Brian famous, which this is just a funny question. Like, you people are like, why are you talking about this? Well, it's just a fun question.
I
Like, you
didn't say
can,
that yet.
okay. Well, we could refer them to Brian's school. He runs a school,
Yeah, well, why
essentially.
not?
Yeah. Yeah. My blog is monocolormagic.com, and I've been running through. Right now, I've been doing article after article of like the 5 best tribal commander of this type, right? Those are my most recent posts. One of the most recent ones was like the 5 best dog commanders. So you can get in there and take a look. And there's one that looks like Scooby-Doo a little bit. It's a fun card to play. So yeah, I've got like several more to do, but I've done like elves and mirror and the dogs, spiders. So a lot of that kind of falls into the Oracle deck too. I remember seeing a card in there that dealt directly with spiders. So
Oh my God, I want to see that one. Spider's my spirit animal.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
cool.
Are you afraid now?
let's see if I can find it real quick.
What were you going to say, John?
I was going to say that the one of the I mean, and again, this is more the financial piece, but I mean, Magic the Gathering owns all those images already, so it's not like
Right.
they've got to one of the challenges, because I considered at one point making a tarot deck of my own. I was working with an
Mhm.
artist to make a tarot deck, and the challenge is that, of course, artists are expensive, and they should be because they do great work, but
Absolutely.
also, if you ever want to do a tarot deck on something that's already out there, you have to pay to license the images, of course, and
Right.
that's where that's why it gets really super expensive. One of the only kind of fandoms that I have not seen a tarot deck for is Star Wars. Most of the others, though, I've got the Fallout tarot deck, I've got Disney villains, I've got,
Mm.
but to have a Magic the Gathering Oracle deck where people have seen the images already and they associate with them,
Yeah.
honestly, that is pretty brilliant to me.
Yeah. Anybody that played during the Theros block era or that has run into different god decks, those are usually based on the Theros block, which was ancient Greek inspired. So that spider card is called Web of Drama. It's based on Arasta of the Endless Web. And it says Arasta was a dryad who was tricked by Phoenix and turned into a monstrous spider. The card meaning on that one is the grand drama of life is everywhere, waiting to snare us in its tangled web. Is it possible to be in the drama and not be affected by it? To have compassion and not lose your emotional balance takes vigilance.
Okay, that is trippy because that is actually how I basically build everything is a web of drama. Like, for example, people always want my Facebook page to be sanctioned by rules or like no one can say anything out of line or whatever. I'm like, but their chart is out of line today and I want to see that on the drama of the show. Like in Seinfeld, were people in line all the time? Like, no, people are out of line. That's part of drama basically. So
Right.
for years I've been building a web of drama of letting all of the characters in at the school and everybody just live out their charts, and then we are unaffected by it because as astrologers we look at it mathematically. We say like, oh, I see that so and so is mad today, like I that the calculation is correct, like we don't really get mad by that. So wow, I want that web of drama card.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think I know what I'm getting you for your birthday.
Ah, yeah. So,
Let me find the card. I'll give you the artwork shot here because that was just a book.
Yeah, I definitely wanna see that.
yeah.
And you think I'd be scared away by spiders? Hell no.
Actually, spiders are really good at weaving things. You know?
No.
Yeah.
Imagine.
And they're cute too.
Yeah,
It's
they are.
like the book, The Wheel of Time. All the books in the Wheel of Time with the wheel. What is it? The wheel weaves as the wheel will, something like that. It's talking
Yeah.
about the web it weaves.
Mm. So Brian's whole business is what he does is the reason it's called Monocolor Magic is like, when you're trying to learn magic and you have like a 4-color deck, it's really,
Oh
ooh,
yeah.
my God,
Nice.
that's a freaking sexy card.
Yeah, see what I mean? It's
Am I
nice.
allowed to say that?
Well, I think you just did.
It's your video, right?
Are you checking your email, John?
No, no, we got a severe thunderstorm watch. That's all.
Oh,
Yeah,
the drama. See,
I know.
I'm
See?
unaffected by it.
Are you?
So yeah,
So, okay,
like Eddie was saying, monocolor magic is based on the thought that it's much easier to teach magic when you break it down to a single color deck. And I like to teach with a mono green elf deck. There's a lot of synergy in elves, and then having just one color of mana that you have to worry about makes it much easier to teach folks with that. And then when I go to teaching like kids, I'll break it down even further and usually take a lot of the ability cards out, and have just a monocolored beat sticks going back and forth, smacking each other.
Yeah, so when I used to get angry when I would play Magic the Gathering and lose. So what I would do is like if I got my ass kicked too many times, what I would do is I would go back to a monocolor deck, and usually it was white. For some reason,
Yeah.
I would always gravitate toward white, and then I would have these games where I would almost win, but I just wouldn't have the offensive power to like make it stick, if you will.
Yeah.
So yeah.
so you used mono as a response to
Yeah.
losing.
Yeah, because I would vary wildly. Like I'd try 3 colors, then I'd go back and try one again, and then I'd use a couple different colors. Then I was kind of all over the place.
Did you ever try 4 colors?
Uh, I think I did once, and I realized that was a very big mistake.
That's bad magic.
I
I've
realized,
got a 5-color dragon deck, so you
oh,
can do it. It can be done.
that's
Um,
awesome.
but yeah, the mana base can be very difficult, even with 3. So to get above that and have it working right, it takes some tweaking.
Yeah.
I'll sit there and I'll play with the deck by myself, just against other things over and over and over again until I feel like my mana is right. Then I'll call one of the kids over and say, "Hey, you got to play me."
Yeah,
So,
see if it works. Yeah.
yeah.
I that's one of the things about as I'm relearning. One of the things I like is the artifacts that help bring out different colors of mana. It can really help. I remember feeling like, okay, this seems a little easier than it was last time. Now it was like 20 years ago when I started.
Right.
So maybe I just have more wisdom. I don't know.
You know what I want to do with Brian,
What?
or how I want to utilize Brian is like, okay, so sometimes I go into these transits where my chart trips on Magic the Gathering, and I'll start like laying down cards on Facebook, and I'll be like, enchant this card, or like, and then we get these students who are just like, how do you play Magic? Like, what is Magic? And they like feel left out, and it's like. And I don't have time to teach them how to play Magic, right? But I'm like, if only you knew how to play Magic, you could be in on this enchant this card thread or whatever. But like now I can be like, you can learn how to play Magic, and you can go to
Yeah.
Brian, and Brian will give you lessons. Like he's like a tutor in Magic.
Yes.
That's so
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah,
I wish I
I'm
had
happy
had
to help anybody with questions. I've also got a couple different beginner articles on my blog that talk about how to get started, both with just playing Magic and with Commander. So
I know what I'm going to be reading on the way home today.
his blog. I know he writes a really good
Yeah.
blog, honestly.
I'm sure he does, and I need all the help I can get, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah.
That's why when you were like, we're gonna, maybe while you're here, we'll play Magic. I'm thinking, that'll be a really short game, Andy. We have to play more than one.
Okay, what do you guys think of this? What if Magic made a Rider and Waite Magic deck?
Mm.
That'd be interesting. Like all the characters were characters.
That would be interesting. And
yeah,
in the Rider Waite style, so in that 78 card setup where in a standard tarot deck, 22 of the cards are major arcana, the sun, death, the
Mhm.
hangman. And then the other part of the tarot is called the minor arcana, and it's very much like playing cards. It's the pips, it's ace through 10, and then it's four court cards. It's page, knight, queen, and king, right? So it's very
Yeah.
similar to cards. And what they've done in certain things is they've taken that structure and they've applied things to it. So one of my favorite tarot decks is called the Mythic Tarot, and it's all Greek
Mhm.
myths.
Hmm.
And so what they did was for the minor arcana suits, for example, the suit of wands, which typically represents the fire element, they used the search for the golden fleece, as and they, for the ace through the 10, they put different phases of that,
Hmm.
which I thought was really, really neat. But yeah, if Magic were to do something like that, it would probably be very similar to the Oracle deck in some ways and very different than others, but I would love to see what they would come up
So,
with.
Brian, when you look at that Oracle deck, is there any thematic? Is it just 52 random cards, or do they go in clusters, or
Well, I would say that some of them seem to be very based on what the Theros version of the Greek god was. So, like Heliod is directly dealing with the sun, right? He was, uh, was it? Why am I not thinking of the name of the Greek god at the moment? Is it Mercury?
Helios?
yeah, Helios
Yeah.
is the Greek word for sun. Yeah.
Right. No, that's the character's name in Theros in Magic. I was trying to remember the Greek god's name that was based on the sun.
Aries? No.
Oh, I don't know.
Okay, I thought it was Ares, Aries, but I can't
That's
remember.
Well, I think that's a martial god, but I don't know.
Okay, well,
Okay. Anyway, yeah, a lot of them are directly related to the different gods of the Theros plane. So like here's your Peripherus with this giant hammer, right?
okay.
Um,
Creative
so
fire.
there's the blacksmith from the Greek myths, right? And then others are based on kind of the supporting cast that you find in myth. Like there's your harpy.
Okay, feeding on the past.
Mhm. And then there's some that are more aligned with things that they would be doing during those myths. So like face your fear.
Hmm.
So it's very entangled in the um, mythology storyline. These are the gods that are kind of weaving the web, making everything happen. Here's the supporting cast of characters, and then these are the paths that they may be set on, right?
It seems very positive. Like all the cards
A
are.
lot of it is. A lot of it is. There is some that's not as positive, but yeah, it seems to be more upbeat than it could be.
Oh,
Hmm.
nice.
Well, and again, a lot of that I'm sure has to do with the imagery because if you've seen a regular tarot deck, especially the Rider Waite, one of the criticisms that a lot of people have of the Rider Waite Smith is that it does have some cards, you got a guy with 10 swords through him, it's hard to see that as a positive. You
Mhm.
know,
Right.
if you got a heart with 3 swords through it, again, like hard to see that as a positive. Um,
Uh-huh.
but I'm glad that they're going more toward the positive end of things. Um,
Mhm.
and it's good. They have also other kinds of decks that just do positive affirmations, and it almost sounds like I said earlier, you could use the deck in that way, which would be a
Yeah.
pretty awesome thing to do. Yeah, it sounds. Now, did you buy it online or in person somewhere?
I did. I got this one. I believe I ordered it from tcgplayer.com,
Okay,
one of the big online magic shops, where you can get stuff new, or they also sell singles if you're just trying to build your deck.
okay. I got my deck from there. I think my most recent commander decks I got from there. So
Hmm.
Yeah.
yeah.
So, Brian, do you find that you're using it to? I mean, how often are you using it in your daily life?
I've gotten it out probably a couple of times a week, and it's not always me that thinks about it, right? This is the first one I've ever owned. So it's not front of mind for me all the time, but the kids know I have it, and sometimes they'll poke me and say, "Hey, can you draw a card for me?" And then,
Yeah.
Yeah.
have me read it off to them. So it's been
That's
fun.
great. That's really
Yeah.
good. That when I was until recently living with my in-laws, And my father-in-law was very much an atheist. And every once in a while he'll be like, all right, get John to get his cards up here and let's see,
Yeah.
let's see what's really going on. So being able to give people a little bit of guidance is always a good thing, give them
Yeah,
something to think about.
absolutely.
God, I so disagree with like that the cards show what's really going on. I just feel like let's have a philosophical moment with the cards. Like that's what I would
Right.
say what the cards do.
Yeah, that's pretty much,
Yes,
that's
I
pretty much
agree.
it. They're great. They're great for what I would consider to be self-development.
Yeah.
Like what is it that I have to
Right.
work on right now? Um,
Mhm.
and
And
every once in a while you can find some stuff that you dig pretty deep.
Yeah.
their passage here of when you're reading for another person is when you're doing an oracle reading for another person, a good way to think of it is that you're having a deep and meaningful conversation with that person. In regular life, we don't often have deep conversations, and an oracle reading provides a setting where a deeper exploration of life and its many meanings can take place. So,
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like the cards are like uncovering what's really going on. It's like there's like 1,000 narratives for anything, and this provides a deep narrative for. Okay, I love that. All right.
yeah, it's just supposed to spur your thought of what's going on in your life and how that card can relate to it, really.
Yeah. So let's talk about the playing magic versus drawing an oracle. Like, so when you're
Sure.
playing magic, okay, so I find when I play magic with people, some people don't adhere to the picture realm at all. And this is when I was like dating, I was like testing guys how they played magic. And like some of them don't look at the picture narrative at all. They're just like
Right.
attack this, plus 1 1, like they're just numbers, 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 numbers. And so what kind of player are you, Brian? Do you look at the storyline that's unfolding while playing or
It depends on the game, and it depends very much on who I'm playing against. If I'm playing against someone like that, I'm very competitive. I don't want to lose, and I really don't want to um, make them feel uncomfortable. So I'll kind of play with them the same way that they're playing. But I love the stories and magic, and if I'm playing with somebody that'll take a minute to read the flavor text and enjoy the quirky comment that the goblin says at the bottom right, absolutely, I'll do that too.
that's such a good point. It's context dependent because if you play with a numbers guy and you keep doing the storyline, it is kind of creepy where they're like, I know the storyline, I can see it. It's almost like they skip the storyline because they already saw it, like, and they go on. But if you're playing with your kid, it might be fun or trash talking over the storyline is really fun.
Right.
So okay, that's a good. So that kind of speaks to you wouldn't pull an oracle deck on just anyone. It would have to be context dependent.
No, and I and I
Absolutely.
and I think and again, this goes into the ethical piece, right? But um, we don't just pull cards for people who don't ask for it. Like we don't just like, hey, here's a message for you. Like I don't,
Mm.
Right.
we don't do that because that's not any of my business. There are
Right.
sometimes when I've had tarot clients, one or two of them that I've actually had to fire because
I don't know.
they want to know about things that are going on with other people. And I'm like, like we don't do that.
That's for them.
If you
Right.
want to know about, right, if you want to know about you, then fine. But if you want to know about your relationship with someone else, okay, that I can do. But straight up about somebody else,
Mm.
no. Now, the only exception I make for
Mm.
that is minor children. Like if you have children and you want to know what's going
Right.
on with them, fine.
That makes sense.
I can make that exception, but otherwise no. So it's great. It's a great tool for self-development. But I
Mhm.
wouldn't just like pull an oracle card for just anybody and say, "Hey, here's the message for you," because it sounds too much like
Right.
I think.
That's like the New York psychic, the Long Island psychic. She'd go through the grocery store and giving people messages. Like that's so creepy.
Yeah.
Um, so how do you see yourself using this in the future with what you do at Monocolor Magic?
That's a good question. I do like the aspect of dealing one every day and just seeing how it may help me focus during the day on different aspects of life, really. And maybe give me guidance on what I should be working on in the business that day or what I need to watch out for.
Well, you may want to. Do you journal?
I do journal. I've got a gratitude journal that I do every night, and then at the bottom of that, I kind of keep track of highlights of my day. So
Well, because you already do it, you may want to start pulling a card even like once a week or a couple
Yeah.
times a week, and just see. There are a couple ways to do it. What some people will do is they'll pull the card and they won't look it up until that evening to kind of see what's
Hmm.
transpired during their day. And there are some
Okay.
people who want to go in fully, knowing exactly what the
With
card
the knowledge, right?
means. Yeah. And so because you journal every day, you may just want to track it and see how it works. Like see
Yeah.
how I don't want to say how accurate it is, but see kind of what it
Right.
means. I know when I was pulling a card every day, things would tarot card, things would come up that I wouldn't expect. So the death card in the tarot, for example, is one that a lot of people are very afraid of because they think it represents a physical death. And I
Right.
just celebrated 35 years of studying the tarot, and in 35 years, I've seen physical death in the cards twice, and once it didn't even happen. Okay, so like, but a lot of people do fear that. So the one day before I went to work, I pulled the death card, and I went to work, and I found out that one of my colleagues had passed away. So it's not always as literal as that, but every once in a
Yeah.
while. Again, just a suggestion for you. You may
Well,
want to give it a try.
I like okay, there's something what John's saying is like we do this, we have a Course in Miracles discussion group, and there's like every day there's a line that you discuss, and then there's a paragraph or like a few pages about that line. And so we always talk about the line for an hour before we read the commentary, because that would be like pulling the card and letting your day transpire with what you just saw on the card and what your subconscious is
Yeah.
saying to you about the card. And then at the end of the day you read the verbiage about it, and it's not that you say like did this happen or does not, but the verbiage just gives you more, it takes away you interacting with the vision of the
Yeah.
card and makes it more like meaning based, right? So I think that is a dance with the cards, like how much do you let the vision wash over you, and then how much do you let the verbiage wash over you?
Yeah. And
Right.
I think both ways are valuable.
Yeah.
When I'm training people, when I'm teaching people tarot, they often will do a daily pull. And we actually make a distinction between, is this a daily divinatory pull for me? In other words, is this what I'm going to see today, or is it just practice? And
Yeah.
one of the other exercises that we do for more longer term work is we actually have people pull at some point in the year. Usually it's the new year, but I
Hmm.
teach a lot of pagans, and so for them, October 31st is the beginning of is the beginning of the year for them. So they'll pull three tarot cards. They'll pull one for the year, they'll pull one for the month, and they'll pull one for the day. They'll change the day one every day, and then they'll change the month one at the beginning of every month. And
Interesting. So
it
tarot
gives you
calendar.
yeah, it's really interesting because that card for a year, like by the time that you end that year, you're going to know that card super well.
Right.
So that's another way. But yeah, if you journal, again, something you may want to consider, even if it's just once a week, just to see how it
Hmm.
goes for you.
All right, Brian, we have 5 minutes. What else do you want to show us about the deck? I know we're talking a lot, but
Oh yeah, I pulled here when you were talking about relationships. One of the things, we'll see if you can see this in the book here. One of the things that it says in the book there is that you
Oh,
can
that's
do a 3-card poll on navigating relationships. And then
okay.
the first card is you, second card is the other, and then the third card is the relationship. So
Cool.
so it gives a spread
Yeah, the
essentially.
layout. Yeah, spread or layout. Yeah, I love, especially around Valentine's Day, what I would do is I would do a he said she said spread, and it would
yeah,
be he said on one side, she said in the other side, and navigating the middle. So a very similar layout to that one.
Hmm.
I got you. Anyone have any relationships that they'd like to see a spread on?
Well, I would like to see a relationship because I'm changing jobs. So I'd like
Oh,
to look at my new boss, like me and my new
okay.
boss. How that's gonna go.
All right, we got 4 minutes.
Yep.
I
So
like
for
I
the
like
you,
Brian the Oracle. That's what we're seeing. Later he'll be
for the
kicking my
you,
magic.
I don't know if this could be any more appropriate. The you is transformation.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. My first new
So
job
then
in 16 years.
the other, so I guess you're saying this to be like your new boss or your new job is
Yes.
desire. So apparently they needed an employee.
Yeah, and go ahead. I'll let you finish, and then I'll comment.
There you go. And
Talk
then
over the Oracle.
the job itself is hero's journey.
Look at that. Will you
Wow.
look at that? So what is interesting is I'm actually on business in Las Vegas right now, and I was supposed to be there for 8 weeks, and my new boss said, I need you to cut that short and come back because I'm between a third and a half down on people. So I need you
Desire's definitely there then, isn't it?
right away. Yeah,
And you're definitely the hero.
I guess.
Right. Yeah.
Did you really
Knight in
use
shining armor coming to save the day.
did you use Magic the Gathering to vet potential boyfriends?
Oh yeah, and on my first day with Shane, I made him go play Magic with me so I could see how his brain functioned.
Yeah.
He was my favorite Magic player I ever met.
Really?
Yeah, he was really good at the storyline and he learned it really fast. Like, I can't stand people who are like, I don't get it. Like, I'm like, all right, well, you don't get me then. Because, like, this is a level that I function at 24/7. Like, I don't know. I'm sorry. I like Smarties, man.
All right, fair enough.
Okay, well, hey, Brian, thank you so much. And we have 2 minutes. What do you want our students to know about you or Monocolor Magic? What's up with Mono? What's going
Yeah,
on?
so at Monocolor Magic right now, I'm still just working on writing articles that'll help folks get started or get better. And I'm happy to take any questions about deck building or anything that'll help you out. You can go to the blog and leave comments. You can pop over to my Facebook page and chat. And then with the Oracle deck, I'm working on an article right now. I hadn't finished it up yet because I wanted to do this video to sneak it in there too before I published. And I'll link to you guys and us. So this will be on there for them to get a look at, like me opening it and then going through the book a little bit to see how to do it.
That's great.
So I have a legit question for you. How much
Sure.
do you charge for 1 hour of Magic tutoring?
I have thought about that, but I have not implemented that yet. Right now, if you want to talk to me, it's pretty much going to be chat based, and that may be coming soon.
Okay, because I need to know when you know, because I need to know when someone's like, I want to learn the magic, I'm like, all right, $60 an hour with Brian Hackenberger. Go learn the magic, then you can come back over and play with us at the Moira Press. Like, I need to know.
Yeah, we want to make sure that you're able to benefit as well, and you've got a ton
right.
of knowledge. I'd love to do a lesson or two with them.
Well,
too,
that's
for
what I'm
that
saying, you
matter.
guys. They say salespeople are not greedy, like good salespeople are not greedy. They're actually of service. And like the fact that we don't know how much Brian charges for an hour, it's like, I'm like, Brian, you're not serving us. We need to know. You're not
Well, I
selling.
will nail that down and I will get back to you.
Yeah, please,
All right.
please. We definitely want to recommend you to people.
Yeah, totally.
Appreciate it.
All right, Brian. Well, thanks for meeting us.
Yeah.
I know you're busy.
I appreciate your knowledge and the Greek arts here. And John, it was great to hear how tarot kind of works the same and a little bit different from the Oracle deck. So thank you for your knowledge.
Thank you very much. We're thrilled to be here.
All right. Well, when you're ready to kick my butt in magic, let me know, Brian.
Will do.
All right.
See ya.
Talk to you later.
Thanks, Brian.
Bye.
Bye.